We just saw The Theory of Everything, and on this show I take my friends, we go see a movie, we review it in the car, and then we have a discussion. The review part is spoiler-free, so if you're on the fence and trying to decide if this is the movie for you, you can watch the first part and not be spoiled. If you've already seen the movie or don't care about spoilers and just want to know everything that we think, watch the whole thing and we'll get into more details. So The Theory of Everything is kind of, it appears from the trailers to be a biopic about Stephen Hawking and his wife, and it's really not. It's from the perspective of his wife. It's adapted from a book that she wrote, and the movie adaptation tries to have it both ways. It tries to make it about sort of the magic and wonder of Hawking's theories and the things that he comes up with, and how smart he is and how talented he is and how he overcomes all the physical challenges that he has. But it also tries to make it into something of a tragic romance story. It's not Twilight with Stephen Hawking or anything stupid like that, but it does have these moments where it sort of builds up, and then because it's true to life and that they don't, I guess this is a mild spoiler, but they don't stay together. The movie sort of crashes in on itself in the end. And I've seen it twice now, and I thought both times that a lot of the visual metaphors that they use are really good. The cinematography is good. The performances are outstanding. Eddie Redmayne, I think, is the guy that plays Stephen Hawking. He's fantastic. He's probably an Oscar nomination for this performance. It's a really good hour and 20 minutes before it kind of falls apart. And when it falls apart, it's just kind of disappointing. And then the very, very end, they sort of show you highlights from the beginning of the movie in reverse, sort of like him turning back the clock towards the beginning of time. And that just sort of puts salt in the wound of, yeah, that part of the movie was much better, wasn't it? So anyway, I didn't hate this movie, but I felt like it really built it up to be something better than it was, and it just didn't quite make it there for me. So that's what I thought. What do you guys think?
I thought it was going to be a biopic about Stephen Hawking. So yeah, it went off on a different tangent, and while I liked the fact that there wasn't like exaggerated movie moments, it kept it very grounded, but it did get very long, and I kind of wish we would have gotten more into his head and the amazing physics theories, and I wish they had worked that more in, but that's just not the gist of the story, and unfortunately it was it just kind of lingered too long on certain parts. But the guy that performed it, the guy that played Stephen Hawking, was amazing. Really, really good. It drew me in. I really cared about the character, not just, knowing that he's in real life too helps, but just the performance was really good. So kind of mixed feelings on this one.
Cal got really excited when you started talking about Twilight. He really did.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, no. I didn't hate it. It was a pretty decent first half of the movie. It really built up their relationship, and you actually cared about them. And then my problem with the last part of the movie was the two main people all of a sudden stopped sharing scenes together. They were always on camera at the same time, but one was in the foreground, one was in the background, and they never really had much interaction. And it really falls apart because of it, because their performances really drive the movie. And Eddie Redmayne, I haven't seen a performance like that since you would think Daniel Day-Lewis, My Left Foot. It was excellent.
Really spot on, huh?
Yeah, I loved it. It was a great performance. At certain points, I was like, "Oh my God, it's Stephen Hawking."
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking, by the way, said the same thing. He said that he found the performance to be, in some cases, indistinguishable from himself. Nice. Like that it was that well done.
During the movie, I was trying to think of who the woman was. And the woman that played
Yeah.
his wife.
Oh,
I couldn't think of
Hey,
the
she looks
actress.
familiar face.
Yeah, but I was looking at the cast list for it, and actually in the credits it says automated voice by Stephen Hawking. I thought that was the greatest thing I've ever heard.
that's hilarious.
Nice.
So anyway, that's the short version of what we thought, the spoiler-free version. If it sounds like a movie for you, go check it out. I would say, you know, if you go into it with the expectation that it's not going to be spectacular finish, you know, the first two acts are much better than the third. I think you'll be fine with it.
And don't go in looking for science.
No, it's not a documentary, and it's not. You know, so to get into the discussion side of things, one of the things that's disappointing about it, and this is this is unfair to the project but the project doesn't do the movie didn't do a very good job of saying up front, like, what it was, because it's not from his perspective. Now, they break that rule right out of the gate, and they show you a bunch of stuff from Stephen Hawking's perspective, like before he meets her and stuff he's doing in school without her. And
Yeah.
all of that stuff's really intriguing and interesting, and it builds his character. On the other hand, you have her. She's only in the movie when they're together.
Yeah.
We don't see what she's like by herself. We don't see, like, we see her with that one friend a couple of times in college. Like that blonde woman that's in like 2 scenes with her and just is sort of, you know, scientists. You
That's
know,
a good point, though,
nerds.
if it's from her point of view.
So we
then
don't
it-
know much about her.
Really, I hate to cut you off. Up until they get married, she's kind of a blank slate. She could be any woman.
Well, yeah, and it's so in truth, she really did want to get her PhD in the Iberian poetry, the thing that she was talking about, and eventually she did. Eventually she did, but she had to give all of that up to be full-time caretaker of Stephen Hawking and his kids. And you know, there's that one scene where she's trying to like study and they're like demolishing the family room, and she just kind of looks annoyed. But you don't really get a lot of, I mean, you can empathize with her, but it's all from a third person perspective. It's not like you're hearing what she's thinking or you're getting it from her perspective.
Kind of felt like fly on the wall.
Yes. And then, you know, there's that scene where Stephen Hawking goes to the church and says, you know, to Jonathan, like, you should come and help us.
Yeah, she's not even in that scene. So,
She's not in that scene. And that's my gripe with it, really, is that they tried to have it both ways. They tried to take what's interesting about Stephen Hawking and build a bunch of scenes out of that end up going nowhere because that's not really what the movie's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's
A
really
little
about
disjointed in that aspect.
yeah, it's really about this couple and their marriage and, you know, that sort of stuff. And like, we understand like her relationship with Jonathan, and we don't so much understand like his relationship with the nurse isn't real. It's like very implied. Like there's the scene with the penthouse, and there's the scene where like she tells Jane to leave so she can finish shaving him or whatever.
Their courting is like 6 minutes,
Yeah.
if that.
It's all very implied, and I'm sure that again is like to keep it as whitewashed and sugar-coated as possible so that people don't walk out of it thinking, you know, what a monster, that, you know, he left his wife for his nurse kind of thing. But it just can't decide. Like, it cannot make up its mind as to what kind of movie it's going to be.
It also was really heavy-handed with the one scene where extreme drama hits. She cheats on him the day he goes into a coma.
Oh, there's a lot of that stuff going on. I mean, there's a lot of, like, you know, things that are all happening at once.
Yeah, it was very ham-fisted. They were just right there. There it is. All of it together.
I was trying to think of another example, but
Just didn't kill the trick.
the second time I watched it, I noticed a bunch more of those things too. There were a lot of scenes that took place around like the college life where he just magically has all the answers every time, and happen to say the exact right thing at the exact right moment. And like one of the first things he says to her at all is, my job is to find the theory of everything. It's like, oh, all right. Well, there's your movie. Credits.
Like there were some times I was waiting for the More You Know star to come out on the screen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If I said that to my wife on our first date, she would have rolled her eyes. And
I tell you what I did think of
wouldn't be your wife.
yeah.
during the movie, and this is kind of wrong, but I couldn't stop thinking of like Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader, because we know how Stephen Hawkins physically ends up, having to speak
Because of
through.
the robotic voice.
No, not that. Just the fact of like he starts as a human being and he kind of builds into this part machine that we kind of know today, So
That didn't make it sound.
I also
bit of a stretch.
I also didn't say this to you guys before the movie, because once you think about it, you can't unsee it. But especially at the beginning of the movie, when he's completely immobile and he has like the black glasses, he looks like Austin Powers. Like
a little bit.
he looks, and you watch him, he's just kind of like swaggering like Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our review of The Theory of Everything.
Completely ruined the whole movie.
If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at dalemaxfield.com, and thanks for watching the Focus. There it is.
There we go.
Good night.